Hello, everyone. In the latest of a series of videos we're doing with Movacy, I wanted to talk about a topic that is really, I think, important. It's about the impact of software for client mobile apps. And one of the really key things within that is what I call IDM, interactive delivery management, which allows customers to actually influence the process of their delivery. And no one better than Irina from Movacy could join me for this discussion. So, Irina, welcome.
Thanks, Marek. I really appreciate being here.
So, Irina, first question: how important is it from your perspective to give customers this visibility over the journey?
Well, I think visibility is really important because it builds trust. But that, in my opinion, is just step one. Control is what actually matters. But if we think about it, let's say you are waiting for a parcel, and you can see on the app in real time that it's 10 minutes away from you. But in the meantime, something happened and you had to go maybe to pick up your kid, or maybe you're stuck in a meeting. So actually seeing where the courier is doesn't really help if you can't change and redirect the parcel, maybe to a locker, maybe to a neighbor. Um, so I think that's the actual power, to give full control to your users so they can easily change the option that they need to.
Completely agree with you there. Historically, we would have delivery management, but interactive delivery means the customer, exactly as you said, can actually influence what happens. Because I won't go into details, but I'm in Spain at the moment. I'm suffering a third failed delivery because I have no interactive delivery management. So even in some Western developed markets, it seems there's a challenge. Tell me one thing: consumer to consumer shipping is becoming more and more popular today. What do you think is driving that trend, and how can mobile apps make C2C work better, make it a more viable proposition?
I think the trend that actually drives the C2C boom is circular economy and sustainability. I think Gen Z and millennials are more aware of the impact and they want to do ethical shopping. So if you have an old jacket, you don't want to just throw it away, and maybe you can like sell it to someone. In my opinion, that's the biggest thing. But the second thing is from a financial point of view, because we live in an era where inflation is high. So I think people want to save money, and this actually helps this trend with C2C. From a mobile app perspective, in order to make C2C a more viable proposition, I think apps should do at least two things: to give users flexibility, as I was saying before, because maybe a seller would want to go to a locker to leave the parcel, especially if they're not home. Also, another point would be labelless shipping, right? Because most people nowadays don't have printers at home. You just need to make it as simple as possible for them. So you generate a QR code and then they can go to a locker and leave the parcel there.
And I think that's, a really good point, that the power of a good app actually can do, hundreds of things, because the stuff we talked about, but I can imagine over time, and you can see some players who are getting more involved in not just doing the pure logistics part, but the payment, the sort of even escrow type services. So I think it's a really good point. The app can be a very powerful tool in the hands of the consumer.
Right. Yes. And especially because you mentioned escrow payments. With the platforms that you give, you need to build trust, right? So your system needs to offer reliability on both sides, to the seller and the buyer. So when you leave a parcel at the locker, the payment is actually made when the recipient gets it. So I think that covers both sides.
When we're talking about features, I know that Movacy have developed some quite interesting features, donation functionality. Um, that's one that's quite unusual, and I can imagine how it works and why. But can you share a bit more about it?
Yes, this is my favorite feature that we've built recently. I'm so proud of it. Just one small mention, we built it over one weekend with 40 volunteers from Movacy, well, ZTech as well. So the idea was to make it possible for users to give back, because we have this great infrastructure, and we thought, what if we could reuse it and adapt it so people can donate their things as well? Let's think about how easy it is when you order a parcel. Now, with this feature that we designed, it's as easy. You just go into an app, in the app, you select one of the two NGOs that we partnered with, and then you can generate a QR code and pack your things and put it in a locker. So it's just as easy as that to donate.
In a way, this is a sort of a high-tech version of what I don't know if you have them in Romania, but in Poland we have these Red Cross boxes, which is a big box that was manually operated. And effectively, what you're doing is creating a high-tech solution, making it easier to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, we don't have that in Romania. Actually, our feature is the only one in Romania at the moment. You have the possibility to actually donate to charities directly, but not to leave donations at the point that delivers to a different NGO.
Super. Well, I think the whole team can be very proud. But we're not going to stop there. Are there any other features from your experience that users love, but you actually didn't initially expect to become so popular?
Yes. Actually, the extending locker storage time was one of the features that was a big surprise, and it became really, really popular. Um, at first, we designed it because we wanted users to have a nice customer experience. Maybe they get stuck at work, or they went away to a different city, or they just can't make it in time for the standard window. So after we launched this, we actually saw that this was such a highly successful and highly active revenue generator.
I'll tell you something. I've had that so many times that I was desperate. Exactly the scenario you said. I unexpectedly had to leave for business or privately, and I had to find a neighbor desperately who would go to the locker for me, which wasn't easy. So I think it's a super, super feature. But listen, those are things that are there today. Some of them are really great. Where do you think things are going to go in the next sort of 5, 10 years? Can you sort of imagine any dramatic developments?
That's an interesting question. I keep thinking about what's next. I think it's difficult to think about 10 years, but I think platforms and mobile apps will become smarter and more automated. Probably they will get rid of manual input altogether, to be honest. So, as you were saying, that it's frustrating sometimes when you don't have the option to redirect. I think that might happen automatically. Maybe you will be able to sync your calendar or your smart home, so you won't need to do anything, but that will be automated. So it will change instantly. If you're not home, then it will redirect it to the closest locker, or to a neighbor if you have one, and they can see they have a smart home and they can see their account.
Can you ever imagine a situation whereby, the way I train AI to look at things the way I want if I'm trying to buy something? Can you imagine perhaps a scenario where AI, you can train the AI to understand your requirements, and then within the sort of wider app package, the system will decide what would Marek want if he's not home, how would you want things to be dealt with? What today is manual. So, for example, some players like Amazon will ask me, are there preferred delivery dates? Are there preferred times? Is there a good safe place if you're not home? Can you imagine AI maybe being trained to do that, and then you create your, let's say, alter ego, who then does that for you? Or is that a bit too far-fetched for now?
No, I don't think that's far-fetched. Of course, as long as you allow the AI to do that, yes, that will be possible. The app will definitely be able to predict your behavior and make certain decisions for you.
Irina, this has been fascinating. Let's see what of these things actually are realized. But for now, I think already some of the developments that you guys are implementing are already state of the art. As always, pleasure talking. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Marek.